Good morning, everybody. From a very sunny Stockholm today. It was snowing yesterday, but today it is very sunny. And I would like to, first of all, thank all the speakers who have joined us here today. Uh, Especially, these are people who are involved in talent search and who are looking for well-educated and talented individuals, and we believe that this is an important aspect of relations between Pakistan and Sweden. Pakistan has a relatively small number of Pakistani origin people in Stockholm, in Sweden, but that number, the proportion of highly educated and skilled people in that number is much more than many of our diasporas in many other countries. And this is the strength. Most of the people who are what we call the Swedish Pakistani community, they are very well educated and they have benefited from the Swedish system. As you know, our Prime Minister has also been talking about the Swedish model, and the Swedish model. I think the rest of the speakers will talk about it also. But for the benefit of our students, I would like to say that this is a model which is based upon uh, meritocracy. It's a model which encourages people to develop their skills and to develop their education. Uh, for a very long time, there used to be free education for all parts of the world. Right now, even now, for Swedish and European nationals, there is no tuition fee, but there is tuition fee for students coming from other parts of the world. But still, Sweden offers an education system which is connected to the industry and which nurtures talent and which encourages innovation. Sweden, if you look at the rankings in the world, it has been always in the first or second in the most innovative countries in the world. And this is where we think we can have a link we can strengthen our linkages with Pakistan. Pakistan has a strong, talented, young segment of our population. We are a country of 220 million, but the number of people under 30 is more than 40% of our population. And these are people who want to enhance their skills. Today, we have in the audience, we have some of the leading universities of Pakistan. I've been told ComStats is holding the lecture hall, and there are other students from other universities also who are joining us here today. And these are people who have immense talent. And I think where another thing which we need to know about the Swedish economy and the Swedish industry structure is that there are, compared to the size of the country, it is a country of 10 million population, but a vast area. It's the number of multinational companies in Sweden, household names like Ikea, like H&M, like Ericsson, like Volvo, like Scania. They have emerged from this 10 million population country, and they so this while the, the number of population is not very big, the number of requirements for the Swedish industry and the Swedish big companies is immense. So there, I think we can both benefit. Pakistan and Pakistani students can benefit from the opportunities in education and in development of their talent from Sweden, and Sweden can benefit from Pakistani talent. I also pointed out one thing which I would like to emphasize, especially since we have students and members of the faculty from Pakistan. In Sweden, one thing which really impressed me in terms of the education is, and I'm saying that because I'm a outsider. I live in Stockholm for about a year now, and but I represent Pakistan, and I am an outsider in that sense. I would like to say that whenever I've visited universities and I've met professors and students, the thing which has impressed me most is that all education is geared towards the development of the economy and development of the industry. And even at the PhD level and at the master's level, all the students in particularly in engineering sectors, in IT sector, they are affiliated with one or the other company. So whatever they do is of practical significance, and it is not just research for the sake of research, but it has some value to the economy and to the industry. And I think this is something. This is a model which can be very beneficial for Pakistan, which is growing economy. And I'm sure that this session will be mutually beneficial. This is hopefully the first of many sessions that we are going to hold. The purpose is to bring both sides together. And in this particular vital field, we already have a diaspora in Sweden, which is contributing to major Swedish companies. And we think that this linkage can be enhanced more, and there can be a better understanding of each other's economic requirements. So we hope that this small webinar will lead us one step further in that direction. And I once again thank you all for joining us here today, and I look forward to the discussions, and particularly the question answer session, questions from our students. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Now we have with us Dr. Muhammad Shahid. He is CEO of Think Global and Senior Data Scientist at Volvo Cars. And he would talk about job opportunities for skilled person in Sweden, especially for the youth coming from Pakistan. Yes, Dr. Sir, please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mustafa, and thank you very much, His Excellency Dr. Zur Ahmed, for this opportunity. So I have only 10 minutes before I need to go for the next meeting, so I will be rather quick. Very short introduction about me. I came from Pakistan to Sweden in 2008. I did my master's, I did my PhD, and then I was university professor for 2 years. And now it's more than 4 years I'm working as a data scientist in Volvo Cars. So before we start talking about the job opportunities that we have in Sweden for youth from Pakistan, a few words about Sweden. Just like His Excellency was saying, Sweden is a North European country, and it is one of the world's most innovative nations. And Swedish inventiveness has led to birth of pacemaker, the zipper, the 3-point safety belt, which was actually invented inside Volvo, where I'm working right now, and modern necessities such as Spotify and Skype. One thing special about Sweden, while English is widely spoken, learning Swedish will open doors both socially and professionally. Sweden is a small, competitive economy, relies heavily on foreign trade. The country is recognized for its good working conditions and practices, and its job market is among the strongest in the world. Popular graduate jobs areas include construction, engineering, healthcare specialists, and IT specialists. And major industries include iron and steel, motor vehicles like Volvo Cars, Scania, Volvo Truck, and other companies, precision equipment, and processed foods. Some of the world's biggest multinational companies are based in Sweden, including Electrolux, Ericsson, H&M, Ikea, Skype, Spotify, and last but not the least, Volvo, where I work. According to the 2019 list, Sweden needs architects, civil engineers, construction workers, dentists, firefighters, interpreters, lawyers, medical secretaries, midwives, pharmacists, prison officers, psychologists, and a lot of software developers. To give you guidance and inspiration, I can share that I came here as a student, as I said before, in 2008, I did my PhD, and now I'm working as a data scientist. It's been more than 4 years now. So being in electrical engineering field, which you could also say IT field, one thing I could say that I did not need to have Swedish language skills for getting jobs here. However, it does not apply in all cases. There are so many companies who are looking for talent, but their work environment is not so international. So they would expect you to have Swedish language competence. Now, the big question for students from Pakistan, how to get job in Sweden? Well, if you have experience in IT field, get in touch with hiring or consulting companies here. It's very simple. Try to get a reference if possible. And I said IT because I have seen so many examples here, and mainly because they do not need Swedish language skills. Examples where people from Pakistan, they were able to land job directly from Pakistan in a company inside Sweden. The other route is, of course, that you come here as a student. Now, if you talk about being student, then there could be two positions, like coming as a bachelor or master degree student, just like I came here. And the other possibility is PhD position. Let's talk about PhD position first. So PhD in Sweden is considered as a job, a regular job, where you get salary and you need to pay tax and all that. And for that, especially, you do not need Swedish language skills or IELTS. You do not need even IELTS. So just make sure you have published already a couple of papers, and that would be enough for you to get a PhD position in Sweden. And again, directly from Pakistan, I have seen examples where people applied for PhD positions in Sweden, and they could get those positions, and they came here. Some of them are still doing PhD, and some of them are done with it. A very brief into how you can apply for PhD position in Sweden. You go to university website, you go to their careers section or vacancies section or jobs section, wherever it is, and then you look for positions there. If the university is offering any PhD position, they must have published it. And then you click on that PhD position, and then you read all the details, and then you make a very good sound application for that position. And the other possibility is that you again go to different university websites, and then you try to find the research areas in which you are interested or you have background, and then try to see what other professors in that university are focusing in their research on. And then you can try to make a connection with that professor by sending a very professional email that you have been doing something in the area, and you have published this, and that, and you would like to continue research in that field. And maybe they can offer you any research position. You do not necessarily need to ask for a position, PhD position. You can just start with that you would like to have any research position. And then the dialogue can continue, and it might be the case that the professor finds the potential inside you and inside your background and inside your future interests, and they could eventually make a position for you in their university because they found that you could be a very good candidate for them. So that was very brief regarding PhD positions. Now regarding master studies, then it's a regular way. There is one website, universityadmission.sc, where you go and apply for the degrees that you want to pursue. You come here, you do the education, and while doing the education, you try to do your master degree thesis in some company, and that is your first stepping stone to getting a job here. Now, how to apply for, let's say, master degree? If I can start telling about that, will take a couple of hours. But for that matter, we already have created a content on YouTube. So I'm guessing most of you have access to YouTube on your mobile or on your laptop. So if you just go to YouTube, you search for this word Think Global, then you will land on a YouTube channel called Think Global, and you will see my smiling face there, and that will be confirmation that you have landed on the right channel. And over there, you will find a lot of useful content that you can watch later on, and that will help you apply for master positions here, for PhD positions here, or any other job positions as well. So we have prepared a lot of guidance on that. Now, talking a little bit about job environment here. When you apply for any position inside Sweden, they look for certain attributes inside you. And I would say that one of the top ones is your attitude. And in attitude, it includes, are you a good team player or not? Are you able to collaborate with others or not? So do you have this we thinking or I thinking? This is very important. If you have we kind of thinking, and if you are a good team player and you have some sort of right background, you do not have to be on the top, but your attitude is more important than your skills. This is what we hear here. You can learn skills later on. You can learn methods and tools later on. But if you do not have the right attitude and you do not present yourself in a good way to the job interviewer, then it might be challenging for you to get a position here. So as I said, I have another meeting approaching very soon. I will finish here, but you are most welcome to contact me later on. I can give you a lot more guidance on this. And your starting point could always be our YouTube channel. Go to YouTube, search for Think Global, and you will find a lot of fundamental information that would be very useful for you. Thank you very much for your attention, and I wish you all the very best.
Thank you, Dr. Saab. I would like to just say one thing, that Dr. Saab provides these services free of cost. So this is his voluntary work, which he does in order to bridge between the education sectors of both countries. And thank you for joining us here today.
Thank you, Dr. Saab. And I would like to mention that we have with us, especially CEO of Sigma. I have been talking to Mr. Klas Persson previously that I can give you an example that from some of our neighboring countries, people are getting jobs much more as compared to Pakistan. And people are being hired directly from those countries to Sweden. And I have been discussing this with Klas Persson that why don't you hire people from Pakistan? And then we had a very interesting discussion on that. And it's a very lucky opportunity for us that today he's here with us. And I think maybe today he will leave you with some very good tips and tricks and guidelines. How can you apply in a good way that you could so that you could get jobs here in Sweden directly from Pakistan, bypassing this master degree thing, PhD thing.
Thank you very much, Dr. Saab. Now we have with us Mr. Patrick of Hamilton Walsh. He is an international expert on global talent mobility and acquisition. He's been serving at key positions in Sweden, providing service to Swedish government bodies and cities for talent acquisition. Sir, please go ahead.
Hello, I hope you can hear me okay.
Yes,
thank you for giving me the opportunity to come here and present today. I'm just going to share my screen with you all so that you can see my slides, and I hope that's good for you. So I am Patrick Hamilton Walsh, as you say, and I'm always honored to do anything with Pakistan, because whenever I was backpacking around the world, I had the honor of spending a lot of time in Pakistan, hanging out in the towns and the villages of that great nation. And I even had the great honor of going to the Colonel Gaddafi Stadium to watch Pakistan play against South Africa in 2007, which was just unbelievable, of course. But I won't talk about cricket today because I'm Irish and I don't deserve it. But I am representing the Swedish Talent Foundation. We are a not-for-profit organization that's trying to enable Sweden to become the global center of talent mobility. We obviously would love to attract so much of that young talent that's sitting in Islamabad right now and listening to this, because of course the talent that comes out of Pakistan has always been fantastic. And to give you a bit of background into myself, I have been living in Sweden for the last 7 years. I am an accountant and a lawyer. And when I came to Sweden, I came here as a talent myself, having graduated 7 times and been a member of 4 professions. I'm also the author of a book which will be released in the coming weeks called Talent Cities, which is about how even cities like, Islamabad and Stockholm and, New York and others like that can set up a talent attraction strategy where they can actually bring in talent and have them mobile and actually pass them through their cities. So the flow of talent shouldn't just come from Pakistan to Sweden. We should also, there's a lot of benefits to be gained from having Swedish talents going towards cities like Islamabad and Caracas and all those other ones. So as an outsider, living here 7 years, I believe that Sweden's all-time success comes down to one thing. One of the guys just mentioned all the great things that Sweden has produced over the years, the great innovation. But for me, the secret sauce behind it all is the people. Both the people who have been born into the society and the people who have been welcomed into the society and nurtured here. And for me, it's the heights, it's the locations they're able to get to, it's the way that they're able to get there first. Swedes are fantastic at this, and this is the great benefit of young Pakistan talent coming to work in Sweden, because you get to work with people who can get into impossible situations and create products which are world leading. And of course, we know that this is what the societies are now based on. It's based on talent, because it is talent and not capital, which will be the key factor which links innovation, competitiveness, and growth as we move forward. And that's becoming more and more relevant as we move forward, as more and more cities are starting to understand this. So the question is, do we have a problem? And of course, if we didn't, then we probably wouldn't be talking here. Our problem is that now we're living in a world where 2/3 of talent will choose the city that they want to live in before they choose the job. Whereas whenever I graduated, I was happy to get out of university and get a job in Dublin as a young accountant and move there. So there's a lot of demand for talent, and I would, in one regard, sort of not completely agree with what the previous presenter says. There is a big demand in Sweden for Pakistan talent, because these people are smart, they're driven, they're full of opportunity, and they really want to develop their career, and Stockholm is a place for it. And the conversations I have, particularly within the largest organizations like Spotify and Volvo and others like that, is they would love to be able to get their hands on that best talent out of Stockholm, or sorry, out of Pakistan. And the same with the startups and the scale-ups within the city. They really would love to be able to get the opportunity to work with a lot of the talent that comes out of Pakistan. So what is talent? This is the question, because not everyone falls within it. Well, talent are the new currency of economic development. They are what are making the world go round. And just to put it into perspective for you, for every 25 international students that a city like Stockholm, Copenhagen, Amsterdam, Dublin can keep for just 1 year after graduation, they are worth nearly 2.6 million euros to the local economy. And these statistics are actually coming out of Copenhagen in 2017. So the thing about this is that you will realize quite quickly that this is not accurate, because Stockholm doesn't have 25 international students. It's got more closer to 25,000 international students. And that means that we don't have a value of 2.6 million on these, but it's actually 2.6 billion. And that's just for the first year. So if you can come to Sweden and graduate here, this is how highly regarded you are, because this is how we see you. You're worth 2.5 billion euros to the economy if we can just keep you for just 1 year after graduation. However, this is you at the start of your career. What are you worth in 10 years' time when you're executive level? You're worth way more than that. So this is why we must work to ensure that the best young talent that are in Pakistan and everywhere else can have an opportunity to come and work in Sweden and help us contribute to some of the great projects that are working here. And when we look at what is talent, I just asked that. Well, this is the definition from the Oxford Dictionary. When everyone talks about talent, they always think about the original one, number one, the natural aptitude or skill. But the second part of talent is actually your weight of currency. And this is becoming more and more appropriate, because whenever companies are being valued and being sold and things, they look at what do we have within the company, because they actually are worth their weight in gold. A good person who can contribute to a team and bring their skills and their personality and their ability to teamwork, as the last presenter said, is actually worth their weight in gold. This is the other thing. For every high-tech job that a city creates, then there's 5 additional jobs that are created around it, both in skilled and unskilled occupations. So for every one great talent we can get from Pakistan who can work in the tech sector, that person will create 5 jobs beside them. So it's very much in our best interest to ensure that we can attract these, because there's going to be other cities that are searching very hard to bring these there as well. And this is why everyone wants to get their hands on the best talent. So I would say you have to have a strategy. If you're going to come to Sweden, have a strategy as to how you can present yourself, how you can sell yourself, what separates you from the others. And the best way to do that is to ensure that you know exactly what you want to get out of it. Because if you can do that, then you will be the person in the middle who everyone wants to get their hand on. And from a city perspective, we have to do this. We have to make sure that we take our heads out of the sand, because us having no clear vision into what we have to do to bring in the best talent from places like Pakistan is going to impact us. Because if we can't get you in Sweden, they're going to attract you into the Netherlands or into Ireland or London. And it's up to us to make sure that we make it easier for you to come here. Because this is our biggest problem in Stockholm. Stockholm is it's an attractive city for talent. People want to come here. They want to live the Nordic lifestyle and live in a society where with so much great access to nature and fantastic projects to work on. But our issue is retention. We're not keeping our talent long enough. We're not doing enough to keep them happy when they are here. And in fact, the average path of a talent through Stockholm is that on average, they come from India. On average, they stay for 22 months. And on average, they move to Amsterdam after that time. So they do want to stay in Europe, and we have always got more work to do to ensure that whenever we bring talent to Sweden, that we're able to keep them here and make them happy and help their family to settle in and feel part of the community. And this is where we are at the moment. 81% of talent who are in Stockholm at the moment are thinking about leaving because their spouse has not got a job or has not settled in. And for us, it's not about coming on here and telling you everything is perfect. The thing that I like about Sweden is that the Swedes are always trying to work to make things better. And the fact that this statistic came out from the Stockholm Academic Forum means that we're going to do more to ensure that whenever you do come to the city, that we will bring in the whole of your family and make you all feel feel welcome when you come here. And this is why we want to connect to you. We want to connect to the brightest people. We want them to log in and be part of the networks that we are, because what lives within the brain of those young girls and young guys in Pakistan is worth something to us, and it can light up our economy here. So that's what we have to do. We have to open in our hands and see what can we do as a society to ensure that the best talent in the world wants to come from Pakistan to Sweden, and that is on us. And this is why within the Sweden Talent Foundation, our goal is to make Sweden the global talent hub. And these are the 3 things that the 3 pillars that we're as an organization focused on. First one is obviously talent attraction. We want you to come here. Second thing is highlighting the best people. And then the third one is policy projects around lobbying and things like that. So first of all, talent attraction structures. What do we need to do? And I'll just touch on these quickly. First thing is we need to do a data-driven talent pool, which means that we need to know exactly what we have within the city, what we don't have in the city, what we'll need tomorrow, and what will our future needs be, because we have to get better understand where we are as a city, and then we can go to nations like Pakistan and say, these are the skills we need today, these are the skills we need tomorrow. How can we work with these? Second thing is we want to highlight great people. So, for example, AI is a big part of where our society has to go. In addition to that, we want to showcase global female entrepreneurs and founders. But the one at the top is that we would like to create a future talent summit, which we hold in Sweden every year. At the moment, we have been running this project for many years, and we held it in different cities around the world, where we held it in London in 2019, where we had Tony Blair as the keynote. We were supposed to hold it in Doha in 2020 with Angela Merkel as the keynote. But I went to my team and said to them, guys, you're Swedes, stop moving this around the world. What I want I want it to be the Davos for talent. I want it to be held every year in Stockholm in June, where people who are thought leaders on talent come to the city like clockwork. They realize it's summer, we're going to Stockholm to talk about talent. And we are going to roll that out this year, and I'm going to make sure that we hold it in Sweden every year. And then looking further down the road, it's looking at the policy. I've just sort of talked about what can we do to sort of lobby our politicians to ensure that we have fast track onboarding. At the moment, it's insufficient with the barriers to entry for young talent coming from Pakistan. We need to make it more easy for the talent that we want. And it's particularly for people who's going to, I think there's a great possibility for us to create a global impact visa within our society here, where people can get a 15-minute turnaround. For if they can help us solve global megatrends within Sweden, they should be able to come here quite quickly. In addition to that, we can only keep talent who graduate here for 12 months at present. And my goal is to increase that out to 3 years. And in addition to that, I believe not just talent who are from here, I think the best talent from the top 150 universities should be able to get a talented graduate visa here as well for up to 3 years, because I've just shown you the value of young talent coming out of university and what they create for our society. And what I have shown you there is just a selection of what we're working on to make life easier for great talent coming out of places like Pakistan. It's a selection, and it's up to you to choose the flavor that works for you. But that's what we're doing under the Sweden Talent Foundation. The website's not completely ready yet, but we are small, we are growing, and we're hoping to make Stockholm talent a thing. And I believe, as someone who has got a lot of love for Pakistan because of the kindness that I received when I was in your great nation, I think there's a lot of possibilities between the great nations of Sweden and Pakistan. And I'm saying this as an Irishman, as someone who can see it from the outside. And I think we need to look at the future, find how do we see the future when we look in, you know, what does the possibilities hold for the best young talent from around the world, and how does that light up their world? So we all know the times are changing, and we must make sure that we're there to attract the best talent from Pakistan into this society. And as an Irishman talking to Swedes and Pakistan people, this is my offering to you. And it's not much, but it's what I have. And please reach out to me on social media. You can get me on LinkedIn, or you can get me on Instagram, and I'd be happy to talk further with you. And I've got another meeting coming up soon, so I won't be able to stay around for the Q&A, but if anyone's got any quick questions now, I can take them before I leave. And I just want to say thanks very much for the opportunity, and I look forward to seeing some of those great students in Islamabad coming here in the next months and years, and hopefully we can enable that to happen for you. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Patrick Hamilton, for such a fantastic and informative talk. Now we have with us Mr. Klas Persson. He is CEO of Sigma Technologies. Sir, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for having me here. And as Patrick, actually, I have a very good relation to Pakistan. I've lived there for 4 months during my studies. So it was a great time. Now being the first Swede here, from the inside, and hopefully can spread some light from that perspective as well. Yeah, I'm Sigma Technology Development CEO. I've been here for the past 25 years, actually. It's a long time. I thought I'd give you a short presentation about myself to give you an understanding of who I am and what I can contribute in this situation with. I would say the consultant business is quite different from most countries I've been working in, due to the fact that this is actually real employment where a large part of the working life is actually done through consulting companies towards our big major companies as Volvo and all the rest that has been mentioned here. So it's actually about 30% of all the work that's been done within engineering is actually consultancy work in Sweden, due to labor rules and stuff like that. So it's a bit different in Sweden. Being consultancy and why I've been spending my life here in this consultancy area is actually you get the variation between different companies. You get to develop faster, which is usually in engineering a very important part. So for me, it's been a way of living actually to always develop myself, and I think that's something I would like to spread to you as well. I've been in Gothenburg the last 25 years. So obviously, I'm very much Gothenburg in my way of thinking and what I value. But if Stockholm is the IT center of Sweden, I would say the industrial hub in Scandinavia is in Gothenburg, both with Volvo cars, AB Volvo, which is trucks and buses I know you have in Pakistan, but also SKF, AstraZeneca, and so on and so on. And since I'm doing sales towards our customers each and every day, I can say that the forecast for this year in Gothenburg towards our big customers in engineering, it's an increase of like 3,000 consultants that we're aiming at this year, only in 2022, which is huge numbers coming from Sweden, because as earlier speaker said, we're just 10 million. Gothenburg is a small city of 600,000 people, and obviously 3,000 engineering roles in 1 year is immense. So yes, we do need to increase. That's a bit about the background of myself. Looking into the city, what kind of companies do we have? I mentioned some of them, but we also have Ericsson, which is a rather big company. We have a number of smaller startups when it comes to self-driving cars, connectivity, stuff like that. So there's a diversity from the big global companies as Ericsson and Volvo down to the small startups, and in between it's Veoneer and Arriver, which is rather big stock noted companies which is developing really technology in the forefront. So I would say there's something for everyone, and being a consultant, we can move around from one company to the next one actually, and by that developing. I thought I'd try to share my screen and show some pictures about Sigma. It's not a sales presentation, but trying to explain how we work and what kind of stretch we have, how we can reach out. See. Show you this one. Hope you can see the screen. There is. This is actually our founder 33 years ago, so he's also a long timer, I must say. And as Shahid said in the beginning, Sweden is a bit different. We don't always seek the absolutely best engineers. Our success is not in having the absolutely best engineers technically all the time. It's actually the way of how we treat people and how we cooperate in our companies that is the decisive thing, in my head at least. There's probably a number of truths to this one, but the way we're working, the way we're focusing on the human being and their ability to actually grow, take on responsibility, not being as hierarchical as most are competitive countries in the world. That's a huge difference. The manager's word is not always the decisive word, could be from anyone in the team actually. So centering from the human being is something that differs Sweden from a lot of other countries, at least that I've been working in. Sigma, these are a bit old, but we're growing so immensely fast, so you can't keep track of it. We're about 4,500 employees now, 2/3 in Sweden, but we do have operations in 12 countries. Actually, Ukraine being the second number in size, which is quite interesting times now. That's a low-cost delivery for us. That's important towards our customers. But being an international companies, consultancy companies, quite new in Sweden. We started off this journey 2007, so we've been international 14 years. But with that, we also understood that the global competence is actually what's important for Sweden in the long run. So we've been having people from all around the world for the last 40 years, bringing them to Sweden, integrating in the society towards the customers. So today I would say here in Gothenburg, where I'm sitting, we're probably about 30 to 35% of all our employees are from other countries than Sweden. So I would say to integrate in Sweden, to integrate in working life and social life, it's quite easy to get here. All our assignments are performed in English as they're engineers. The important part that Shahid said is actually, obviously it's good to get to know Swedish, but that's more the social part of life. To get a network, to get friends and stuff like that, then it's important to learn Swedish. But for actually performing a job, English is perfectly okay. I do have employees that has been employed with me for the past 10 years and they still don't manage Swedish. It's not good, but just to show you that it's possible to survive in Sweden purely in English as well. I thought it being bit more down to practical stuff. This is part of what we're doing and parts of obviously what the market is seeking then. I have some more words on this later on, but I would say what's driving the economy in this part of Sweden nowadays is obviously e-mobility, electrical driven cars, trucks, buses, even airplanes. That's the most important trend, I would say. But apart from that, everything and anything that has to do with software is also growing within the automotive, within obviously telecom, but also purely IT companies. Klas is a fintech company based in Stockholm, but opening up in Gothenburg this year. They're going to increase from 0 to 500 people in 1 year. And these 500 aren't in Gothenburg today, I can tell you. We need to find them somehow, somewhere. So software and e-mobility is the most important areas that are growing on a more technical level, I would say, at the moment. Just bragging a bit about the Sigma technology companies that we have as customers. You might recognize some of the world-leading companies here. But this is, as I said earlier, it's just to understand that consultancy in Sweden is a way to stretch out and reach out to customers and working places, regardless actually where they are and how they work and what kind of products they have. So for me, it's a good way to get into Sweden, to be able to get your first job, to start as a consultant. That's actually the end of the presentation, but I thought I'm going to keep on talking a bit more about the working life and what kind of competence we're seeking. I would say that, as I said, the software and anything within software, it's everything from C++, C, Python developers and so on, is growing. There's a reason behind why this area hasn't been as huge as it is, and that's how the market has developed and developed. Previously we were actually putting a lot of work in India and in China to develop things for us, but we understood that we need to do this ourselves to be able actually to compete with Mercedes, BMW and other brands. Then we can't let Bosch in Germany develop things for us. We need to do it ourselves. So this is actually what we understood, and then we need to develop ourselves, and by that we pushed work towards Sweden in pure development, and this is where we are now. So we're increasing in software development faster than ever before. This is a shortcoming that we have, but we need to overcome that with having people from other parts of the world. And I would say, I see my time is running out. I can tell you, I had just in my company, we have had over 100 employees from Pakistan throughout the years. So I do have a good picture of the competence that you have and the possibility to actually get into the Swedish society and labor market. There's a lot more to say. There's a good site, movetogothenburg.se, where you can look into how to get integrated in the country. Please reach out to me. I'll try to answer as good as possible, and I'll be around for the Q&A session at the end as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Klas Persson. Now we have with us Mr. Erik Krüger. Sir, please go ahead.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Mr. Ambassador, and your honored guests and speakers and participants. Happy to be here today to speak about the Stockholm region and what we are doing to attract visitors, talents, and investors. So basically, I understand that I will try to make my presentation slightly shorter because I understand that we are our time is of essence. But just to give you an insight into which organization I'm working with, I work with Invest Stockholm, and Stockholm Business Region is our parent company, and we are basically a political owned situation by the city of Stockholm. So I work with attracting investors from all over the world, including talents, because talents is nowadays a major part of any investors coming to Stockholm. If you wonder about my dialect, I've been living in the US for a year and also in Canada for 2.5 years. That's why I have my accent, but I'm Swedish of origin, and happy to speak to any people or talents or people or investors from all over the world looking at the Stockholm region. And why are we doing this? Why are we attracting investors and talents and visitors? Well, basically it's because Stockholm is a very multicultural city and region, and we see that with this comes diversity, and diversity is very, very important for us to broadcast this message that Stockholm is at the top of the diversity. And from that regard, we do not only represent the city of Stockholm, but we also represent 53 municipalities in the Stockholm region to work with and to attract talents, visitors, and investors to this. What we can see from a Nordics and Swedish perspective is that Stockholm is the finance and business hub of Northern Europe. If you look purely as an example, if you look at real estate, we are basically about 23 billion euros of transactions in 2021, and the rest of the Nordics, including Norway, Finland, Denmark, had about the same volume. So as you can see, we are really the business and finance hub of Europe. We also carry about 45% of Sweden's GDP, which makes us the largest region by far. Looking at what we offer, as an example, we have the Stockholm DNA, which is basically our DNA of value-driven DNA, which basically includes that we have our DNA consists of being free, visionary, and trustworthy. We've been voted the smartest city in the world by the Smart City Expo World Congress in 2019. And we're a very innovative region in terms of looking at other regions from the Regional Innovation Scoreboard. We also have the vast majority of the headquarters being placed in the Nordics, 53% in the Stockholm region, including 23 global companies being present here. As you can see on the far right side of this picture, we have 8 unicorns, and unicorns are basically companies being valued more than $1 billion. And as you can see here, we have Spotify, Skype, Klarna, King, and so on, which are very hurrying a lot. So basically, as the previous speakers, I just want to highlight that it's the new economy is the tech economy, and IT engineers, product leaders are very sought of. And the easiest thing, if you're looking at concrete opportunities, the easiest thing is basically to go into the website of the individual companies, as you see here on the right, and they will display on their website which career opportunities are present. So it's really an enormously dynamic situation now in tech and have basically hiring talents within IT. I mentioned briefly about this, but this is also just an oversight about all the different indexes where we top. As mentioned, we are the world's smartest city according to Smart City Expo. But also, as you can see, we are ranked very well in several different indexes. Also, we've listed 10 reasons why you should be interested in Stockholm, and as mentioned, we are a world-leading tech and innovation hub. But it's not only that; it's also that we have a system embedded into the state where we have a very high quality of life, including 400 days of parental leave. So if you work in Sweden, you have children, then you automatically receive 400 days of parental leave from the state. Also, we have usually holidays. Minimum is 25 days a year, and usually after a few years of work, then you come up to 30 days of holidays. So this is a major benefit in terms of the family life and having a balance that works well, which is very important, I think. When I speak to some American clients, for them this is unheard of, but we're very happy to share this with you, that we have this system and that we are very happy to have you here in Stockholm. This is some of the areas that we offer our services to in terms of speaking to our clients. We have several, in my team, we have 9 sector specialists working within different sectors, such as fintech, gaming, ICT tech, life sciences, and so on. And as one of the previous speakers mentioned, it's very, very important to the attitude when you start working in Sweden. It's one of the main criteria that employers look at. Is basically that one can be a team player, that one can contribute to the overall tasks of the organization and the team. So I just want to highlight that again, basically what the previous speakers has been mentioning, that it's very important to have a good team spirit and to contribute to the overall team spirit in that case. This is basically a chart showing the various stakeholders in tech. As you can see, we have in 2021 we have performed by far the greatest number of investments in the Nordics, and we're becoming one of the major hubs in Europe in terms of attracting investors. And this is driven by the tech industry and of course the larger stakeholders such as Skype, Klarna, King, Spotify, and so on. But we see that we're starting to have shortages in tech to basically find the right talent. So that's why I'm here today to speak about how you can find opportunities in our ecosystem. And also I want to mention to you that, as mentioned before, the global companies, we have these, this is a picture for Swedish origin. So some of these are in Stockholm, some are in other parts of Sweden. But we have a great number of companies here that are hiring. So feel free to reach out to me or the other speakers in the seminar to see how you could find a position here in Sweden and in Stockholm. And also I want to mention to you that we have our own website called movetostockholm.com, where we have presented a talent guide and how to come here, what to think about before, what you think about upon your arrival and during your stay here in Stockholm. So that's really a good website to have a look at if you're just interested to understand the picture about moving to Sweden and Stockholm and what you need to do. With that said, I think I'll stop there and I'll be open if there are any questions. I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you very much, Mr. Erik Krüger, for such an informative and fantastic talk. Now, if we have any question, please raise your hand. Just before that, we have a comment from Mr. Taimur Aziz. He is working with Ikea and he is also a senior business analyst with InnoFactor AB. Please, Mr. Taimur Aziz, go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Thank you very much, His Excellency Ambassador of Pakistan, Mr. Zahoor Ahmed, and Mr. Mustafa, and all the distinguished guests, and especially Klas. I got the first email from the Klas, maybe you don't remember, in 2018. I was on that time looking for some kind of opportunities. I just saved your number again. So hope so that I'll contact you again to find out some other opportunities. I have studied master's from here in Umeå in the north, a cold place. And before that, studied a telecommunication network as well from the Pakistan. So I came here in 2010, and since 2018, we are working for the Ikea and Coop in the logistics area via Vidrikson. It's a private limited company, and they are providing that logistics and route planning and these kind of things. And I am responsible for some kind of data. You can see just on my behind that to look at the KPIs, the ROIs, and these kind of things, that where the company is going on and what we can take and these kind of things. So this is what I am doing on. So specifically now come to the students who are listening, and some of the companies may be also interested, that we have the expertise with the immigration services as well. That in order, if you are looking to hire someone from the Pakistan and you want to have that person quickly here in Sweden, so there are some kind of fast procedures as well. You can get someone within 1 month to Stockholm from after your hiring process, and there we can also help different companies, and can also help Sigma as well, and some other companies who are maybe, if they are interested. And specifically for the students, that a lot of things have been covered by the very seniors who are working here, and for me, that I just pinpoint some of the things for the students who are listening from the Pakistan right now, because ComSat is very dear to me. My uncle is also working there as a rector, Mr. Shahid, Sardar Shahid. So I have a very good know-how of ComSat. So there is a website, it's called Orbits for Medellin. I used to post the job on Orbits for Medellin, and I mostly the jobs which, if the international jobs are coming, they are coming from somewhere else, not a lot of jobs from the job applicants from the Pakistan. So for the students, just write down this Orbits for Medellin. I can write those things in the comment section as well, and then maybe I can show you the screen.
Mr. Taimur, I would appreciate if you could kind of wrap it up, because
so it's like 3 to 4 websites, the bigger websites who are the recruitment websites. The second one is it's also for the students who are there in Pakistan right now. I'll write those things as well. And then we have the manpower as well, and then the Sigma as well. Because they are also looking for a lot of people especially in the IT sector, in engineering sector. Some of my colleagues are working in Sigma as well in the engineering sector. So these 3-4 websites are really important. And then again, I repeat one thing, the attitude. Attitude is very important, that when you are applying for the job, skill, they may tell you that what tool they are using, where exactly how their working culture is. They will learn, you can learn from there. But your attitude toward work is very important. And this is what I just wanted to wrap it up. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Taimur Aziz, for such valuable comments. If somebody else has any comments or question to the guest speakers, he may please raise hand. Yes, Mr. Salman Zahid Saab, please go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. Sir, I have completed my software engineering, and I have approximately 8 years of experience in a data center. I was a former assistant manager network operations, and I have served in Pakistan, in Pakistan in Sindh Police IG office data center. They are surveillancing over the Karachi, and we have the approximate 1400 cameras, and I am looking over it as a maintenance engineer. And also my wife has completed her PhD, and she's done her research work from Luleå Technical University, which is in Stockholm. And she's currently now serving in a government of Pakistan university in our local Shahid Benazir Bhutto University, which is located in Nawab Shah. My question is that what kind of opportunities we both have in if we apply to Stockholm, and what are the paths and mediums from there where we can apply? I add one thing more, that I have completed my Microsoft certification as well. So I have a huge experience in network maintenance and like data center management. The main question is that what are the main medium where we can apply and search out that what kind of job opportunities available there? Thank you.
I would request any of the guest speaker to please shed some light.
Yes, I can answer your question. I came here in 2009. I completed my degree in 2011, and I got my first job at Telenor as IT consultant. And if you have experience, there are two ways. If you want to work in network or IT field, then you must speak Swedish. It is better that you must speak Swedish. I'm right now working with the Kalmar Kommun here in Sweden. And it took almost 3 to 4 years to learn Swedish here in Sweden to get my desired job in other fields. I got my first job in Telenor because it was English environment. My team leader and my boss, he worked 12 years in Texas in America. And he used to speak English, so therefore. But for getting next job, it was a big problem for me. Everyone used to say that everything is okay, but there is only one problem, that you cannot speak Swedish. Even after 2 years working with Telenor, I have to quit. Why? Because I could not fix my Swedish language. Now I speak Swedish. I'm working in Kommun. I have worked with the Malmö Kommun. I have worked with the Boden Kommun, and I'm right now working here. So I have the same field. I'm responsible of IT infrastructure. Why?
Yeah, thank you, Zaisab. We got your point. I would like Mr. Klas Persson, as he mentioned during his presentation, that Swedish is perhaps not a mandatory kind of requirement.
I think 50%. 50%, because there are two fields. If you are a programmer, if you are a programmer, then you no need 80%. You no need Swedish. But if you are coming to IT field, there are two fields: IT infrastructure and software development. In software development, you don't require Swedish language. But if you want to come to IT infrastructure, how will you communicate with the consultants?
Thank you.
If you can't speak Swedish, then how will you communicate?
Let's have a second opinion on that. Yes, Mr. Klas Persson.
Okay, thank you. Continue.
Yeah, I would say IT technician, I'm not 100% sure. We do have a company for that within Sigma in Stockholm, so I know that we have these services at least, but I wouldn't know about the Swedish necessity of knowing Swedish. When it comes to engineering, there's no need for Swedish at all. But maybe IT technician, I wouldn't know actually, so I can't give a straightforward answer on that. I do have colleagues, and I can absolutely check with them how this industry works and what the demands are within that area, but not 100% sure, but I'm willing to check it out for you.
I can vouch what Mr. Klas presented during his presentation. I'm in touch with, of course, many Pakistanis here who are working in IT and technology companies, and they are here for many years. They have done PhDs from here, and they're working at very high position, and they don't know Swedish, and they're very comfortable.
Yeah, but I would definitely encourage them to learn Swedish if they want to live in this country, because That's a very important part of social integration. Mr. Erik Krüger has something to say. Can you please give him some time?
Happy to jump in if I may. Can I take a minute to just elaborate?
Please,
Yeah.
please.
Okay, thank you. So basically, my entity, we've been working to track the data center companies, Amazon Web Services, Microsoft, and Google, and we're now tracking also Google to Avesta for different parts of the Stockholm region. It depends on the exact position, how much of Swedish you have to. Generally speaking, there's no necessity to speak Swedish completely full 100%. But of course, as some speakers has mentioned, it is an advantage if you speak Swedish, but it's not a necessity. If we look at the positions that these companies have, they have between 50 to 150 people on site at each location, and of course, as mentioned, there are 5-6 different locations in the Stockholm region. So and on those locations, you have both people that don't speak a word of Swedish, and you have people that speak a lot of Swedish. So it really depends on the position and what you're looking to do at the site location. Thank you very much for the word.
Thank you very much, Mr. Erik. Yes, Mr. Aziz, please go ahead.
Hi everyone, my name is Oves and I'm here in Luleå, up in the north, and we have a chilling temperature in the January, or normally we touched -35, and it has been snow from the last 4 or 5 days, so this is where I am. I'm from Pakistan, and I really appreciate the Embassy of Pakistan for arranging this session. It's really good for the students, for the brain drain, and to bring closer to Sweden and Pakistan. Well, I have a question for these Mr. Klas or Erik or whoever have been given to me. I was supposed to work here for a data center company in Boden, and Boden has been known as a data center heaven. Even in Luleå, we have this Facebook data center. But the company I was supposed to work, that was actually a Swiss company, so they were the company which is outside from there. So the employment or the recruitment procedure was easy and different, and there wasn't been so many requirements. So I have been survived and worked on English too. But when that company has finished the project, and then I have approached the local companies. So even though the environment in those companies is the English language, but on every advertisement or requirement, the first thing they have been put on the Swedish language. I went to the SFE to study for the Swedish language, and they say, oh, you don't have the person number, so you are not eligible to start the SFE. And one company, Hydro 66, is one of the biggest data centers up in the north. I have went there, interviews and everything has been gone completely. And they told me, okay, the time you reach at home, we can send you the contract. And the contract doesn't arrive. Why? Oh, you don't have the person number. Why? Then, because we need a police report. In the data centers, you have to work. So these are the few issues which needs to be considered. The rest, in the data centers, for example, or in the IT sectors, everything has been gone on artificial intelligence. So the artificial intelligence has reduced the opportunities for a manpower. Like in a data center, I was supposed to work, there are only 4 or 5 persons, but they are managing a data center of 40 or 50 megawatt electricity with an investment of 50 or 60 billion dollars of it. But only 4 to 5% they are managing it because this artificial intelligence is going on. A lot of work has been doing on virtually. So my question is what are the opportunities for the students? They are sitting right now in Pakistan and they have technical brains. If they can come here, that's good. They have been giving their physical presence. But if they are still sitting in Pakistan and they want to contribute virtually and being a part of these, because a lot of the IT work has been done virtually, and the corona has also been developed this long distance employment and systems. So that's my question. I don't want to take much more of time, and at the end I will thanks to everyone again.
Yes, sir, Mr. Klas, if you could respond or shed some light.
Oh yeah, if I get the question right, obviously there are obstacles in Sweden, and it's quite a lot of chance is actually created upon relations, which is obviously harder to get from the outside and not being in Sweden. I do know that the networking in Sweden is important to get the job, and that's hard, even being here, being not a native Swede. So I do understand your problems in getting the next job. I would say the recommendation to you always would be to contact as many people within the service industry as possible. Manpower was mentioned, the consulting and manning companies, it's the way into companies usually. Working from abroad, yes, it's absolutely a possibility, but I would say it's hard to start off working from Pakistan towards a Swedish company. People want to get to know each other, build up trust and so on. So I would say the recommendation would be to apply for jobs in Sweden physically to start off with, to create the relation that you need to have to any employer. And that with a base, then maybe be able to work from abroad or from other locations. But very hard to start off. Even just having 2 months of notice time coming from Pakistan, when we employ people, they usually are employed in Pakistan, have 2 months of notice time. Coming to Sweden, that's too far-fetched for a lot of employers in Sweden. Yeah, very short answer, unfortunately.
Thank you very much, Mr. Klas Persson. Now I request His Excellency, our Ambassador, Mr. Zahoor Ahmed, to please thank guest speakers and participants.
Thank you very much. I would like to thank all the speakers from Sigma, from Stockholm Invest, and Mr. Hamilton and Dr. Shahid for participating in this very useful webinar. And I hope that our students will have some idea of how the job market in Sweden is and what are the requirements. And we have also shared some links in the chat, which you can use to follow up. There are some questions on chat, and I would just like to say one thing is that we are talking about students who have graduated or who are postgraduates and who are now independent adults. So at this stage, the first thing is you have to take your own career into your own hands. Nobody will spoon feed you. You have to go to the websites, you have to prepare your CV, you have to do an active search, and you have to build up your talent and education so that people are looking for you and you are not looking for jobs. And that comes when you have the right kind of talent and right kind of education. So I think you are all on the right path, and I'm very confident that the Pakistani youth is vibrant. They are enthusiastic, and as we can see today, they have a hunger for development and for education. So I wish you all best of luck, and thank you very much for joining us here today. And especially I would like to thank Mr. Mustafa, our commercial counselor in the Embassy of Pakistan, Stockholm, for making all the effort, bringing everybody together and arranging this webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And with this, I would say goodbye from Stockholm. Thank you very much, all the participants, and especially the guest speakers. Bye-bye. Have a nice day. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.